So welcome everyone. This is my friend and guest and fellow trainer from EFT International, Tania Prince. Tania and I have co-hosted or co-taught Mindfulness Based Inner RePatterning this is our fourth time that we'll be doing it. And we're going to be teaching it online December 2nd and 3rd, 2023. We're hopeful that those of you that are looking for a really lovely, gentle energy psychology technique will give it a look and join us. But Tania, I'd like to sort of start off with having you tell us a little bit about how did you design this technique? I mean, I know you have an NLP background. I know obviously you know tapping, but how did you kind of put the pieces together to come up with a very simple, very gentle, and I'd say even just a very beautiful, safe technique for people to use for solving their problems?
Well, I would say that the reason I came up with this was because of the increasing number of very complex cases that I was experiencing within my therapy sessions. And I think, as I said in tape one, as I said then, when people come into the clinic, there are some people who come in and their issues are so immense, so huge that you as a therapist will think, well, where do I begin with this problem? And I wanted an approach that kept it simple, but helped the client get profound results. And I've always been brought up with the idea of us having, and you will know this yourself, we have incredible healing abilities within the human system, within nature itself, massive healing abilities, and here is a cut on my hand that I did many years ago, but you can barely see it because my body healed this.
Yes.
And so we know that. We know the body can heal physical things, and all we have to do is create the right situation, just support the body's healing. And it's the same with this approach. I thought, well, what do we need to do to create the right conditions that the body can heal itself? And if you think about stress and stress responses, we have the state of safety, which we can feel. We have the fight or flight response. We have the freeze and flop response. So basically, if we're in a survival mode, the body is going to switch all our resources to survival, because there's no point healing and repairing if you've not survived the situation.
Right. It's secondary, right? It's secondary to survival. Yeah. I often, when I teach about EFT and particularly about fight or flight, I'll say trying to heal when you're in fight or flight is like trying to solve a math problem while you're being chased by a polar bear. Like, it's just not going to happen. The priority is get away from the polar bear.
So absolutely.
You're on this run and there's very little neurological room for letting go or solving or diminishing the problem, the issue, whatever it is.
Yeah, so the first step becomes to actually switch your system to actually feeling safe. Yeah. Now, you can't talk a person into that. No. It doesn't work like that.
That's why this is a beautiful technique for those people who are all in the talk and are entangled in the talk and trying so hard to be understood, and they don't realize that talking it over and trying to be understood and trying to understand the problem is really just they're entangling themselves tighter, aren't they?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you're pointing out that right there, trying to understand the problem. We don't have to understand a problem to resolve a problem, and there is the point here, isn't it? I work with many people, you've worked with many people, and I've often thought within the therapy situation, why is it I need to understand this person's problem for their system to heal themselves?
Yeah.
Doesn't make
I think sense, I think it goes back to maybe the therapy of the 70s.
Right? Yeah.
But it's we've been there, done that. Like, let's move on now. And these gentle techniques, and in particular, mindfulness based inner repatterning, your technique that you're gonna teach us is all about, like you said, preparing the nervous system, allowing it to be open to change, open even to resolution or to strategy. So, oh, wait a second, I know what I need to do to fix this, to solve this, to change what I want to change in my life. But you have to, it doesn't come from doing the math problem. It comes from neurologically going into that place where the problem is stored based on life. Something's happened, the way we were raised, the teacher that didn't like us, whatever it was that created this glitch, in our software, or this glitch neurologically that we keep looping into every time something similar triggers us in life. And I find this mindfulness based inner repatterning allows us to go in and very directly find in where it's stored in the subconscious, i.e. in the body, i.e. in the nervous system.
Oh, very powerful, because in a way, it's unprocessed out trauma. It's trauma that's not been resolved within us, so it kind of lives within us and impacts
perpetually.
What's that?
Perpetually, like a loop.
Perpetually. So the body knows how to heal and repair itself if you put it into the right state, and that state has to be a state of safety. So when the body feels safe, then it begins to repair and regenerate itself. And this is a natural process. So there are ways to put ourselves into that state mechanically, not talking ourselves in. We can't tell ourselves, oh, I am safe. Well, maybe we could kind of negotiate a little bit and get ourselves there. But there are very simple ways of doing that, but through the body, like changing the focus of your eyes, how your eyes are working. Because if you go into a very tight vision with your eyes, it's usually because there's some kind of threat around and you're trying to work out the threat, aren't you? So I need to see the detail of the threat. Yeah. But also, if you say that again, if you go into the countryside, you look out across the vast expanse of land, our eyes literally go woof, and we go boom.
That's right. That's one of the reasons nature is so profoundly healing. And we know that when we're in fight or flight, we lose about 30% of our peripheral vision, don't we? So this technique understands the eyes are part of the brain. They move and they send neurological messaging to the brain.
They're directly connected to the nervous system.
To the whole nerve. Yeah. So I think more and more, if there's innovation that I've noticed in the last few years in the world of healing and helping, it's about how can we use our eyes to come into what you call that safe zone.
And of course, it is combined with the tapping approach as well, isn't it? We're start out tapping on the thymus point, which of course, this whole area is innervated by the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
When I was developing this, we pinned down this guy, David Hamilton, who'd just written a book on, he does the science. He's a lovely guy. He was at one of the EFT conferences and we pinned him down. Well, not literally, but we did. And we asked him the question, would tapping on here affect the vagus nerve? Because he put research in his book on the impact of the research they were doing on stimulating the vagus nerve at that point. And he said, yes, it would.
Yes.
So I know they were doing research on stimulating the vagus nerve and really bad depression, all of these other things. And so we are tapping on a point on the body that would stimulate the vagus nerve in that way. So not only do we use the eyes, we also breathe as well, using the eyes to come into peripheral vision, reminding ourselves to breathe. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. The reason for that is when we experience trauma, we can stop breathing. So just reminding yourself to breathe can bring you out of that holding on response. So, with this approach, like I said, I was dealing with complex clients and I needed a way that I could help them get the results and that I wasn't going to do their normal patterns. Because people can get very much into this high thinking mode, and I didn't want to kind of interact and try and maneuver around that. So there was a different way that they couldn't analyze too much. So you don't have to analyze with this approach. You don't have to understand your problem with this approach, and you don't have to do extensive talking about the problem. It's very much a very targeted and, for the most part, a very gentle approach.
Which is why I think it's so effective with things that other techniques haven't been able to address, or haven't, maybe it's better. There's a sense of relief, but it's still there. I'm still holding on to some of it for some reason. Especially with complex, more intricate issues where you feel like there's still something there that I haven't gained access to. Well, it's because there's a part of you, for whatever reason, doesn't quite feel safe enough to allow you to gain access. The subconscious's role is to protect you. And so there's a reason, although it may be very outdated, there's a very important reason why you don't have access. And I find this gentle technique, one of the favorite phrases I like that you developed or that you use here, is just simply that. Again, I love curiosity. So now how do you know you have this problem? Right.
Very
So it
questions.
very succinctly goes right to the core. You've decided to address something, even if it's complex, even if you feel like you've been working on it for decades and it's never going to get any better, or you're only going to get so far and that's it. How do you know you still have this problem? And it's very, very straightforward and yet very, very simple and direct and very safe.
Because it kind of puts us out of the problem. We don't have to go into the problem to deal with it. Is that, how do you know? So it's almost like you're stepping back. Oh, well, I've got these images. I've got this internal dialogue.
Yeah. I've got this belief system. My parents taught me to think of it this way. Isn't this how life is supposed to be? And so that allows you to directly address what's, the scaffolding that's holding the problem, the issue up.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to doing this training with yourself. I think we will have fun. It's a different way of working, but it is a tapping technique, but a very simple kind of approach that people have been using right across the board on some pretty big issues, including things like bereavement and grief, pain, right across the board. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. The last time we talked together was 2020, and it's time. I'm really looking forward to working with you again. I'm so glad you said yes. And I guess I should also say, maybe ask you the question is this a technique that anybody can learn, or do you have to be a therapist?
Well, anyone can learn it because you can do it on yourself. I've known people use it for various things right across the board because, and I've known, some of the people I've trained in this, they use it in the business community.
Yeah.
And the reason and they find it very well accepted in the business community. And that would be because you can do it quite surreptitiously. There is that. But there's also, because it's very solution focused. Yeah. You're not needing to go into the problem. It's solution focused. So it's more, what do you want? Yeah. It's just a beautiful solution focused approach. And people in the business community like that because they don't really, when you're in a business kind of environment, want to be talking too much about their problems.
Yeah. Or emoting. Where they don't, that for a lot of people, that's a scary place to go. And so this is a way of sort of stepping back a little bit and allowing the nervous system to be open to change, and then coming back and reflecting later. So how does that problem feel now? Beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time, Tania, to chat with me this morning. I really, really appreciate it. I'm very thankful for this technique. I find it incredibly beautiful, and it's one of my prime toolkits or tools in my toolkit. And I'm looking forward to, once again, reviewing and learning and watching people who join us, people who sign up, to watching them discover just how simple it can be.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to that because
all right. So we'll see you on December 2nd.
Thank you.
And 3rd. Yeah.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Thank you.